I promised myself that, on this channel, I would always speak my mind and explain stuff from a YouTuber's perspective behind the scenes. Because of this, sometimes I say something that isn't popular, like in my last video where I said, a few years ago now I went through my 50 most viewed videos and deleted anything negative or nasty that I could find. And I answer questions, engage in discussions, delete negative stuff, and bang your Well, you've responded, letting me know that you don't like censorship and think that everybody should have the right to free speech. And I'm kind of pleased you've brought this up, because while I agree that you have the right to post whatever you like on my video, I also have the right to delete whatever I want to. It's my video, my comment section, and ultimately, my decision what stays and what gets removed. Don't like that? Fight me. I'm only doing what other YouTubers are already doing, after all. It's just that they're not announcing that they're doing it. But I'd like to elaborate on what I deem to be negative content, because I think most of you would agree with me. In my last video, I was hearting everyone's comments. A lot of you seem to like that interaction. And yes, I have read each and every one of those thousands of comments, and have hand-clicked the heart button. The alternative would be to use some kind of automated script, but there's a problem with that. While most of you have posted lovely things, of course some of you have used it as an opportunity to say stuff like, heart this if you like, and then they say something inappropriate or illegal. What do I do with comments like these? I could either ignore them, which would be giving that comment special treatment, or I could heart the comment and go to jail. I jest. Probably nothing would happen, but at the same time I don't like the idea of leaving something like that on the internet, as it's just waiting to be taken out of context, like for a screenshot of it to be posted on Twitter or whatever. So those sorts of comments, I just delete them. And I think if you were in my shoes, you'd do the same. I also delete other kinds of comments, which I'll be talking about in a minute. But I feel I need to stress again that I believe YouTubers should be free to delete whatever they like on their own channels. You can argue that it's going against your right to free speech all you like. You can shout about the First Amendment, but I'm not American. Plus, even if I was, I'd still delete whatever I wanted to, since that rule only applies to the government and not to individuals. And enough of your rights for a second. What about mine? It goes without saying that I'll delete hateful, racist, or obviously nasty comments. Ones that are unquestionably posted just to upset and to troll others, I'll delete. Something tells me that people posting these will be among the first to complain about censorship, but I'll sleep easy. YouTube's spam filter catches a lot of these before I even get to them. Sometimes all I'll see is a comment asking why I'm deleting their posts. Then I'll check the spam bit of YouTube, I'll find the posts and I'll be like, yeah, I agree with YouTube's decision to hide these. But what about comments that I disagree with? As an example, these comments I'm showing on screen right now. It might come as a surprise to you that I'm fine with these. I may disagree with them, but I see value in the content. I've even made this whole video showing and talking about them. What about when somebody points out a mistake in one of my videos? Again, I'm fine with that. If it's a big enough mistake, I'll even correct and re-upload the video. Thank you for pointing it out. Genuine constructive criticism I have no problem with. In fact, I encourage it. As long as you're not trying to argue for argument's sake. Also, just so you know, it can be heartbreaking when I invest so much time into a video, only for people to comment, criticising some tiny detail that's all of 0.01% of the whole thing. I think I'm getting better at simply accepting those comments and not responding to them, but I do feel like some people take delight in going to great lengths to be critical. And if I'm going to feel good about the good comments, I have to accept that I'm going to feel bad about the negative ones. You can't do one without the other. And it's better than not caring at all. What would be the point in YouTubing if I no longer cared? And it's not like I'm deleting things to surround myself in a positive echo chamber. I still see all the comments, I still read them, question whether I could learn from them, or even if I've been wrong all along. Maybe you have to be a YouTuber to understand what it's like to read so many comments every day, and how quickly you can tire of certain types of people, especially those who add nothing to the value of the comment section, and others who most definitely detract from it. I just don't see why I should have to keep them all in public view, or why it was even necessary for most of them to be posted in the first place. I dedicate my life to producing content that people are free to watch. If they don't like it, then there are a million other places that they can be. There's just no need to be nasty. Of course, being the internet, my channels are going to attract unwanted viewers from time to time. But ultimately, they came to me, and I deserve the option to delete them if I think it's best. Critical comments aren't something new. In fact, I find it easier with videos than I did with mapping or making a game. I used to spend weeks making something, only for somebody to complain about the most trivial of things, and it felt like a direct attack on the rest of what I had made. I'm sure I'd find it just as difficult to handle now. It's just something that happens when you've invested so much time and effort into something. It's just now I'm lucky to have such a big and lovely viewer base that I also get a lot of nice comments that I can spend time hearting and stuff. A few years ago now, I went through my 50 most viewed videos and deleted anything negative or nasty that I could find. I just checked and it was on the 2nd of November 2018 when over on kliksphilip he did a large scale cleanup of the comment section on the most viewed and most recent videos to see if it would have any impact on future ones. There were a lot of nasty comments on many of the videos, really tasteless stuff, and I guess I didn't want to think that YouTube was getting worse, so instead wondered if it was something localised to my channel. Some of you are concerned that deleting comments could result in an echo chamber, but I think over time, any channel with a sizable audience will become one. If you think anywhere can be a neutral place for discussion, especially the YouTube comment section, then you are mistaken. If mine's going to be an echo chamber, then I at least want for it to be a happy, constructive one. Because frankly I'm disgusted by the state of some YouTubers' audiences. And it's almost as though they're proud of how fanatical and aggressive they can make them. And I do incur the wrath of these once in a while. So I went on a blanket delete, where many of the comments I wouldn't normally have touched were also purged as part of the experiment. I made a note of the date that I did this, then for a while decided I needed more data. Then after a while more, concluded it had been too long, that there were too many variables, and I kind of forgot about it. It's not something I'll analyse in this video, but it could be something for a future one, to see if it did make any difference. I don't regret doing it. Something I don't like though is when people post their opinions as facts, or say, "You've made a mistake," and then list something that isn't a mistake, but it's just something I've said that they disagree with. Once I even got into an argument with an HR lady when she said I was always saying "I" and "in my opinion," and how that means I'm an opinionated person with a big ego. I replied saying I only did so because I thought it was important to state when something was my opinion, rather than a factual statement. But even when people do these things that I hate, I don't immediately delete them. I normally respond to correct them. Maybe their first comment simply came across in the wrong way, and they're actually stating something reasonable. I do respond to a lot of comments. I probably come across as pretty damn argumentative, since a lot of the time it is to resolve issues such as the ones I've listed. But if it becomes an argument, and it's clear it's never going to be resolved, I do take it on a per case basis, but sometimes I can't be bothered with it and it is easiest just to delete the whole thing. Sometimes I delete things to stop the spread of misinformation. Especially with topics that I know a lot about, I can split criticism into two categories. The first being people who know their stuff but are arguing the other side for an understandable reason, and the second being from people who don't know what they're talking about, but for some reason have a strong opinion about it anyway. That second group is especially dangerous, because they always seem to be the most confident ones. They seem unaware of how little they know, and no matter how rational, no matter how responsible or right my response might be, I know already that those people will never change their mind. What makes them dangerous is because other people who don't know what they're talking about will see their posts, will think, wow, they're confident, they must be right. And suddenly they adopt the same misled opinion about whatever it is. My videos can go hundreds of comments without a problem, then somebody will raise an invalid point and suddenly I'll find 10 people in a row parroting the same thing, like sheep. Or parrots. So to stop this, I can do two things. I can reply to the first comment with an educational response, so that onlookers hopefully will learn about it enough to disregard the first comment. Or alternatively, I could just delete it. Because life is short. What I end up doing really depends on how bored I am and how passionate about the subject I am. Remember that I'm not just making videos about random stuff. I either do it because I care, or because I've researched the topic more than most other people out there. So as an example, when I spend a week studying DLSS anti-aliasing, and I get a comment from someone telling me that I got it wrong and it's not anti-aliasing, yeah, that's going to make me feel something. So a lot of the time it's the tone rather than their viewpoint. You get some people who have a valid argument but put it across in a terrible way. You can normally spot these because the last sentence will be aimed directly at the YouTuber, insulting their person. And they're traps to respond to, because anybody who knows their stuff will assume that you're disagreeing with their viewpoint, when actually it's just the tone of their comment that you found inappropriate. And now I'm just ranting. Point being, my reasons for deleting stuff are seldom because I disagree with it. A comment can be negative in many different ways, and I can disagree with many different aspects of a said comment. I am absolutely sure that there are many YouTubers who do just delete comments which disagree with them, but I am not one of those. I have tried to clarify my thinking, but the more I try, the more complicated an issue I realise it is. I just think that most reasonable people would agree with me. It's a shame that, whilst trying to make YouTube a nicer, more positive place, I've had to dedicate a video talking about the bad. Most of the comments I get are good, and I know there are many more of you still who never comment, and who simply watch my videos before moving on with whatever you're going to do next. Thank you. And don't be afraid to leave a comment, even a suggestion for improvement. But I don't think my YouTube comment section is a place for negativity. There's enough drama on this site as it is. And even if you disagree with me, doesn't matter. I'll delete whatever I like.